Oh my goodness, we are learning about famous places around the world. Places like the Gateway Arch, the Washington Monument, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Great Wall of China, and much more. There are so many places to learn about. Just look at the glimmer in this owl's eyeballs. But before we begin our adventure, let's calm the music down for a moment. Stretch if you need to, get comfortable. There you go. Let's explore some awesome places together, starting with the Gateway Arch. That's a great place to start. Oh my goodness, that's a huge arch. That's massive. You are looking at the biggest arch in the world. It's called the Gateway Arch. The Gateway Arch is in St. Louis, Missouri, a city that has the nickname the Gateway to the West. So the Gateway to the West, St. Louis, has the Gateway Arch. Okay, that makes sense. The Gateway Arch is in St. Louis, a city nicknamed the Gateway to the West. And it's tall, okay? I mentioned it is the tallest arch in the world. It's taller than a 60-story building. It's 630 feet tall. That's taller than the Washington Monument in the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. It's a really tall arch. I've visited the Gateway Arch before, and I was a little kid. I don't remember everything about it, but I remember thinking, this is tall. That's one of the things it's famous for. It's also famous for just looking awesome. It's made of stainless steel, which gives it this reflective silver color. The Gateway Arch is made of stainless steel. When I think of stainless steel, I think of kitchens, because lots of kitchens have stainless steel pots and pans. Sometimes appliances in the kitchen are made of stainless steel, like this refrigerator. Just think of it. This refrigerator is made of the same stuff as the Gateway Arch, and the fridge doesn't even know. Hey, you're both made of stainless steel. You're like stainless steel buddies. Speaking of buddies, you might have noticed the Gateway Arch is along a river. Do you know the name of this river? Yeah, it's the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River, one of the longest rivers in the world. It goes from Minnesota all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. The Mississippi River is huge. I imagine the Mississippi River and the Gateway Arch are friends. They've been together a long time. Construction of the Gateway Arch began in 1963 and finished 2 years later in 1965. The arch was designed by this man, Eero Saarinen, a brilliant American designer and architect who was originally from Finland. Finland is a country in northern Europe, east of Norway and Sweden. Eero Saarinen moved to the United States with his family when he was 13 years old. Eero's dad, Eilil Saarinen, was a very successful architect. Eero followed in his father's footsteps, becoming a designer and architect as well. Now, after it was announced that a memorial would be built in St. Louis, there was a contest to find the best design for the new memorial. Both Eero and his father, Eilil, entered the contest. Funny enough, they heard that E. Saarinen was the winner of the contest, and at first they assumed it was Eilil's design that won. But 3 days later, they heard back that Eero won the contest, and that his arch would be the new monument. Eero Saarinen's unique design was perfect for the monument, which symbolizes exploration and adventure. It is a gateway that reminds us of all the people who passed through St. Louis to go out west. Here's something really interesting about the Gateway Arch. It is part of a national park. That's right, it's part of a national park. The land the Gateway Arch is on is called Gateway Arch National Park. The national park was founded in 1935. It was a while before the Gateway Arch was even designed. The park was originally named after President Thomas Jefferson. It was called Jefferson National Expansion Memorial. Wow, that's a long name. President Thomas Jefferson bought a ton of land from the country of France in 1803 in what became known as the Louisiana Purchase. It included way more than current-day Louisiana. It was a lot of land, and it opened up the West for exploration. So they thought, let's name the park after Thomas Jefferson. As you might imagine, the Gateway Arch is the most famous part of the national park. When people went to the national park, they would always think about the arch, not President Thomas Jefferson. No offense, Thomas Jefferson. It's just, everyone loves the arch, right? So, in 2018, the national park was officially renamed Gateway Arch National Park. It just made sense. Gateway Arch National Park is not just the land under the arch, it's about 91 acres and has lots of really cool buildings, streets, and amazing gardens. Like other national parks, there's a lot of natural beauty at Gateway Arch National Park. Now, I want to share with you one more fact about the Gateway Arch. It might be my favorite fact of them all. If you ever visit the Gateway Arch, you can do more than just look at it. You can go up the arch, okay? You can go up the arch. You might be thinking, hey, I don't see steps. I don't see a ladder. It actually has a tram system. The tram takes you up the arch. The inside of the tram car looks almost like a spaceship, at least to me. It's pretty sweet. At the top of the arch is the observation deck. You can see it here. The observation deck can hold up to 160 people. And the view is amazing. It really is. You can see so much up there. Remember, the arch is 630 feet tall. It's really high up. And when you're done, you can take the tram back down again. It's super fun. The Gateway Arch. It's the tallest arch in the world. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. You can see St. Louis right here on this map. It's by the Mississippi River. I think they're buddies. It's part of Gateway Arch National Park, which used to be named after Thomas Jefferson, but then they were like, let's name the park after the arch. It was designed by Eero Saarinen, which is why it looks so cool. It's made of stainless steel. It has a tram system, so you can actually go up the arch and look out from the top viewing area. It's a unique monument, one that honors westward expansion and the role St. Louis had in being the gateway to the West, as many pioneers started their journey there. Wow, the Gateway Arch. It's one of a kind. It's one of a kind. Great job learning about the Gateway Arch. How fun was that? I love the Gateway Arch. I think we're ready for the next one. Okay. The next place is also in the United States. You are about to learn about this really tall, pointy structure. Do you know what it's called? Yeah, it's the Washington Monument. The Washington Monument. It was built in honor of this guy, George Washington, one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, the man who led the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War, and who served as our very first president. That's why it's called the Washington Monument. It's a monument that honors George Washington. All right, now where is the Washington Monument? In case you want to visit it. Well, the Washington Monument is in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. On a United States map, Washington, D.C. is right here, where this yellow dot is. That's where the Washington Monument is. Washington, D.C. and the Washington Monument are both named after George Washington. So is the state of Washington on the west coast of the United States. You can see the state of Washington right here. In fact, the state of Washington has George Washington on its flag. Plus, it's a green flag, and green is my favorite color. That's a pretty cool flag. So there's the state of Washington on the West Coast. They have a green flag with George Washington on it. Then there's Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. And in Washington, D.C., we find the Washington Monument. Now, before we continue, there's a word we need to learn. It's the word obelisk. Obelisk. That's fun to say. Obelisk. Okay, hold up. Why are we learning this word? It's kind of a strange word. Well, we're learning this word because the Washington Monument is an obelisk. An obelisk is a tall monument with 4 sides and a pyramid at the top. That's pretty awesome. Plus, obelisks are made of stone. That's right, they're made of stone. An obelisk is a tall stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid at the top. The Washington Monument is an obelisk. Speaking of obelisks, obelisks were originally built in ancient Egypt. You can see here an obelisk built in ancient Egypt that is still standing today. Ancient Egyptians often put obelisks at the entrances of their temples. This temple is known as the Luxor Temple. It's in the city of Luxor in Egypt. The Luxor Temple used to have 2 obelisks at its entrance. The second obelisk used to be right here. Now there's just one. I do wonder if this obelisk misses its friend. You know, this obelisk used to have a buddy. I'm sorry, obelisk, okay? I'm sorry. All right, so when you think of the Washington Monument, you can think, hey, it's an ancient Egyptian-style monument. So the Washington Monument honors George Washington. It's in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, and it's an obelisk, which means it's a tall stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid at the top, just like the obelisks in ancient Egypt. You know what? We've waited long enough. We have to talk about how tall the Washington Monument is. I mean, it's so tall. Check this out. The Washington Monument is a little over 555 feet tall. Oh my goodness, it's just over 555 feet tall. Compare that height to the height of another tall landmark, the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is tall, but not nearly as tall as the Washington Monument. The Statue of Liberty is just 305 feet tall. Just 305 feet tall. That means the Washington Monument is about 250 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. Wow! And it's made of stone. Remember, obelisks are made of stone. The Washington Monument is a stone monument that's a little over 555 feet tall. Now let's think. An obelisk this tall probably took a pretty long time to build. And it did. Construction began in 1848 and was finally completed in 1884. That means it took 36 years to build the Washington Monument. 36 years! That's a long time. I mean, just imagine how they felt when it was done.
Sir, they've completed the Washington Monument.
They have? Great! After 36 years!
Are you going to visit the monument?
Yeah, we definitely have to check it out. So they finished building the Washington Monument in 1884. It was built in a very special park in Washington, D.C. called the National Mall. The National Mall. Years later, they added some other amazing things to the National Mall, like the Lincoln Memorial. They built the Lincoln Memorial right across from the Washington Monument. Then they built a super huge pool of water called the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in between the 2 monuments. Here is the reflecting pool during the daytime. If you look closely, you can see the Washington Monument's reflection in the water. Do you see it? Yeah, you can see its reflection right here. Now this is awesome. The opposite side of the Washington Monument faces the U.S. Capitol building. That's right, the U.S. Capitol building. The Washington Monument is in such an epic spot. One end faces the Lincoln Memorial and the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, and the opposite end faces the U.S. Capitol building. Wow! If you ever visit the Washington Monument, you can stand on one end and look out at the Lincoln Memorial, and then go to the other side and see the U.S. Capitol building. But it doesn't have to stop there. You can actually go inside the Washington Monument and take an elevator up to an observation deck. And the view from there is amazing. The observation deck gives you a view from 500 feet up. Here's a photo taken from the observation deck facing the Lincoln Memorial and the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. What a beautiful view. Then you can go to the other side and see the Capitol building. Here's a photo of the Capitol building from 500 feet up the Washington Monument. Wait. Okay, stop the music just for a moment. All right, I just want to take in the view. It's so neat. Do you see the U.S. Capitol building? It's right here. Yeah. Wow, we learned so many cool things about the Washington Monument. It honors George Washington, one of the founding fathers and the very first president of the United States. The Washington Monument is in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. It's in a park called the National Mall, in between the U.S. Capitol building and the Lincoln Memorial. We learned that the Washington Monument is an obelisk. An obelisk is a tall stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid at the top. And it's a really tall obelisk. Remember, it's a little over 555 feet tall and took 36 years to build. And finally, we learned you can go up the Washington Monument. They have an elevator that takes you to an observation deck that will give you an incredible view. The Washington Monument. It's a neat place to visit. I've been there. It's amazing. You want to visit, Mr. Whiskers? Think of it, a cat visiting an obelisk. Maybe, Mr. Whiskers. Maybe one day. The Washington Monument. Wow, that was pretty interesting. You've been doing an amazing job. We've looked at 2 places so far. It's time to look at the next one. I think you're gonna like it. What a beautiful day. It's just perfect weather to... Wait, is that tower leaning, or is that just the camera angle? Oh, your eyes aren't tricking you. This tower really is leaning. In this video, we are going to learn all about this unique tower, known as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Yeah, that is pronounced Pisa. It is Italian, so the S is pronounced like a Z, and the I sounds like E. Think of a P like a green pea, and then say za, Pisa. It almost sounds like pizza, doesn't it? Can you imagine just a leaning tower of pizza, a huge slice of pizza just leaning there, and people would visit and be like, I want to eat it, but if I eat it, the tower will go away. What do we do? Do we eat it or look at it? We don't know. The Leaning Tower of Pisa can also just be called the Tower of Pisa, but many people call it the Leaning Tower of Pisa because that is what it is most famous for. We are going to call it the Leaning Tower of Pisa throughout this video, but just know if you wanted to, you could just call it the Tower of Pisa, and that works too. Alright, so where is this tower? Where can you find it? The Leaning Tower of Pisa is in the country of Italy. Here's what the country of Italy looks like. It's shaped like a boot, isn't it? The country is colored in with the colors of the Italian flag, green, white, and red. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is an Italian landmark. As you might guess from the name, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in the city of Pisa, right here on the map of Italy. Isn't that cool? Do you see it on the map? That's where Pisa is. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is behind Pisa Cathedral and was built to be the bell tower of the cathedral. One of the main purposes of bell towers, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, is to let people know when there are special occasions at the cathedral or in the community. Okay, it's time to answer a question you might be asking. How did the tower get like that? It wasn't purposefully done, was it? No, they didn't do it on purpose, though they knew early on that there was a big problem with the tower. When they were building it at the second floor, it started to sink into the ground. Uh-oh, that's not good. You don't want a building to start sinking. You just don't want it. You just don't want it. The foundation of the tower, which is the very bottom of the tower where it connects to the ground, was on really bad soil. After taking a long break in construction, they finally finished the tower, including the part with the bells, in the year 1372. That means the Leaning Tower of Pisa is really old. It was completed about 650 years ago. Woo! About 650 years ago. Unfortunately, the leaning got worse, and starting in 1993, they worked on the tower to make sure it will be safe and stand for many years to come. In this picture taken in the year 1998, huge weights made out of lead are being used to help the tower not lean as much. Those are a lot of weights. After 8 years, the tower is safer and isn't leaning quite as much as it was before, but it is still leaning. Experts believe the Leaning Tower of Pisa will be safe for at least 200 years, so you don't have to worry about anything happening to this tower anytime soon. In fact, it is so safe that if you visit, you can buy tickets and walk up the tower. That's right. With around 295 steps, it will give you lots of exercise and give you great views of the area. You can see a picture of the stairs here. They look different from many of the stairs you might be used to climbing. They have rules. You have to be at least 8 years old to go up the stairs. They have rules about how many people can be in the tower at a time, and you do have to be super careful, especially walking down the stairs. Hey, do you think you would ever like to climb the stairs of this famous bell tower? Okay, alright. Here are people at the top of the tower. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is about 183 feet high, which means you can see a great distance. The view is so beautiful here. Let's show you. This is one of the views from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Well worth all those steps. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, an unforgettable bell tower in Italy and one that will stand for many years to come. Oh, and just for the record, I really would like to visit a Leaning Tower of Pisa. I know that's different than the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but, if you know anyone who makes pizza, could we go ahead and do that? Okay, thanks. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. Great job. We're going to stay in Europe and look at another really special place. Next, we are talking about one of the most famous clock towers in the world. It's called Big Ben. Big Ben might sound more like a nickname for the kid next door that Fido is scared of, okay? But it's this clock tower. It is part of a very special building in London called the Palace of Westminster. It is located in the north end of the palace. So, this huge clock tower at the Palace of Westminster in London, why is it called Big Ben? That's a good question. To be honest, we don't know. No, seriously, we don't. No one does. There are rumors and stories, but we don't know for sure. Even stranger, the real name for the tower is Elizabeth Tower, a name it was given in 2012 in honor of the Queen Elizabeth II. Before that, it was simply called the Clock Tower by many, which is a very honest name, isn't it? That is exactly what Big Ben is. It's a clock tower. Now, while we may not know why it is called Ben, we do know why it is called big. It is 315 feet tall. That's huge. Of course, the clock itself is massive too. The hour hand is 9 feet long, and the minute hand is 14 feet long. Wow, that's a big clock. Not only is the clock huge, it is lit at night. It's like a huge night light for the people of London. People from all over London can see what time it is by looking at Big Ben in the evening. Well, here's a question. So, okay, how long has Big Ben been around, okay? When did they build this clock tower? When did they build this thing? Well, here's a hint. It is super old. Super old. No offense, Big Ben, but you are a very old clock tower. So when was it built? Well, Big Ben was completed in 1859. It has been a famous part of London for a very, very long time. Now, through the years, as you might imagine, Big Ben has been a reliable and accurate way of keeping track of time. Not just because Big Ben displays the time, there are also 5 bells in Big Ben that chime. 4 of the bells chime every 15 minutes. The main bell, called the Great Bell, chimes every hour. It's the really, really big one, okay? It's pretty loud because, everyone in London has to hear it, right? Originally, the nickname Big Ben belonged to the Great Bell. That's right. But over time, it came to mean the whole clock and tower, not just the Great Bell. Well, we've had so much fun talking about Big Ben. Big Ben is a symbol of the United Kingdom. When people think of the United Kingdom or think of the city of London, Big Ben is what pops into their minds. When movies and television shows film in London, they usually want to film near Big Ben, or at least have Big Ben featured in the background because it is such an iconic part of the city. Since it is such a special landmark, it has been important to keep the tower safe and in good working order. Repairs and renovations have happened, which keep Big Ben looking its best. These guys are cleaning the clock, okay? Careful, don't fall! And with exception to some times of crazy weather or times of repair, the clock has just kept going and going and going, as it will for future generations. What a beautiful landmark. If you ever visit London, you will see Big Ben or Elizabeth Tower. You will hear the chimes. You'll tell the person next to you that Big Ben is 315 feet tall. You can tell them that Big Ben has 5 bells, 4 of them smaller, and 1 great bell. You could tell them, that building it's attached to, that's the Palace of Westminster, okay? You might take a picture. Eat a sandwich, walk around, wear a hat. Okay, all right, we're done. How awesome is that? You did a great job. We looked at a handful of places so far, but they've centered around things people built. This next place is a natural wonder. Next, we are learning about a special place called Niagara Falls. It is not only a beautiful and fascinating place to visit and see, it is also a wonderful source of power and generates electricity for both the United States and Canada. So, what exactly is Niagara Falls? Well, it is a group of 3 waterfalls on the border of the United States and Canada. Here, we'll show you on the map. Niagara Falls is right here on the map, on the border of Canada and the United States. One of the falls is mostly in Canada. The other 2 are in the United States. The biggest waterfall of the three is called Horseshoe Falls, or Canadian Falls, depending on who you ask. It is called Horseshoe Falls because of its shape. It looks like a horseshoe. Many people also call it Canadian Falls because most of it is in Canada. Now, Horseshoe Falls is huge, okay? It is 2,590 feet wide with a drop of 187 feet. Horseshoe Falls isn't just big, it is powerful. In fact, Horseshoe Falls is the most powerful waterfall in all of North America. You can see the power of Horseshoe Falls by seeing just how much mist is generated by the falls. So much mist. The other two waterfalls are American Falls and Bridal Veil Falls. Both of them are on the United States side. They are much smaller than Horseshoe Falls. American Falls is the largest of the two and is called American Falls because it is on the American side of the border. Bridal Veil Falls is the smallest of all and is called Bridal Veil Falls because it looks like the veil that a bride wears at a wedding. Now here is a super easy fact to remember. The waterfalls are on the Niagara River, okay? Niagara Falls, Niagara River, alright? Really easy, really simple, okay? Share that fact with your friends. Okay, now catch this. If you ever visit, you can ride on a boat on the Niagara River and see the falls up close. Everyone has to wear a poncho because you'll get wet. The amount of mist that comes from the falls is amazing. Speaking of visiting, did you know over 30 million people visit Niagara Falls every year? It is one of the most inspiring natural wonders in the world. Now, through the years, not everyone has come just to visit, okay? For example, 11 people have walked a tightrope across Niagara Falls. Tightrope walking is when someone walks across a very thin rope. It requires amazing balance and focus. A man named Charles Blondin is pictured here, walking a tightrope across Niagara Falls while carrying his manager on his back. Can you imagine being that guy? Thankfully, Charles Blondin and his manager made it across safely. Charles Blondin walked across Niagara Falls on a tightrope many times. One lady named Annie Edson Taylor also did something dangerous with the falls in 1901. You can see her pictured here. She got in a barrel and rode down the falls. That's right. She was the first person to do that. And she survived, although she did get hurt. If you visit the falls, just look at the falls, okay? They are beautiful. Just look at them. And if you think they look beautiful during the day, they are lit at night. Those are LED lights, and they look almost magical. Wow. Niagara Falls. Okay, yeah, this guy isn't allowed to visit Niagara Falls. It's for your safety, okay? You just shouldn't go. You'd be tempted. Unless if you promise just to look at them like everyone else, alright? Okay, we have one more fact about Niagara Falls to share with you, something we referenced at the beginning of the video. Niagara Falls generates a lot of electricity. The type of power generated by Niagara Falls is called hydroelectricity. That's a fancy name. Hydroelectricity. The fast movement of the water allows the generators at the plants to make electricity. Hydroelectricity is electricity that is powered by water. Niagara Falls, a beautiful place, an incredible natural wonder, and also a source of energy and electricity to the surrounding areas. Very cool. You did a tremendous job. You know, you made it through a lot of the video. Well, there's more fun ahead because we have 4 more places to explore. Next, we're going back to Europe to learn about another amazing tower. It's a famous tower called the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower. This is going to be a blast. The Eiffel Tower is one of the most famous structures in the entire world. Yeah, the entire world. It is made out of iron and is 1,050 feet tall. That's absolutely massive, and it's made out of iron. This is huge. Here's a picture of the base of the Eiffel Tower, and look how tiny the people look. They look like little baby ants. And this is just the base of this incredibly huge iron tower. Look how tiny they look. They look like little baby ants. This is such a huge structure. All right, so where is the Eiffel Tower? The Eiffel Tower is right here in the country of France, which is in the continent of Europe. Here is the French flag, the flag of the country of France. You can see that the flag has 3 vertical stripes, a blue stripe, a white stripe, and a red stripe. Now you might be wondering, where in France is the Eiffel Tower? Well, the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, the capital of France. Here is the city of Paris at night. Do you see the Eiffel Tower? Yeah, there it is. Right there. It's kind of hard to miss. It's so huge. The Eiffel Tower, remember, is 1,050 feet tall, and it looks like it's lit up. That's because it is. It's incredible. There are over 20,000 light bulbs on the Eiffel Tower. Over 20,000 light bulbs so people can see the Eiffel Tower at night. Alright, so what's the history behind the Eiffel Tower? Why did they build it? Why does it look the way it does? Why did they call it the Eiffel Tower? What's the story here? The Eiffel Tower was built to be the entrance for the 1889 World's Fair. Here is a poster they put up in France telling people about how the Eiffel Tower was going to be featured in the 1889 World's Fair. So many people were excited because the entire world was looking at Paris that day because it was the World's Fair. It was a huge deal. The Eiffel Tower was named after Gustave Eiffel. His company designed and built the Eiffel Tower, so they thought, well, let's name it after you, Eiffel Tower, Eiffel Tower. So Eiffel was an actual man, Gustave Eiffel, and he's the one that designed and built the Eiffel Tower, him and his company. So they started building it in 1887. They needed a lot of iron, a lot of metal, and they just kind of heaped it in the beginning, and they started building the foundation. This is a picture of what it looked like right at the start. These guys have a lot of work to do. Oh my goodness. That must have been so overwhelming. And then they finished the base. How cool is that? They're doing such a great job. That must have felt so good to finish the base. And then they just kept working and working and working. Then they started building the middle section of the Eiffel Tower. Careful, we don't want to fall. It's starting to get really high up. Really, really, really high up now. Here is a picture of the last stage of building the Eiffel Tower when they were building the very, very top of the tower, which is called the cupola. And then, after a lot of hard work in 1889, the Eiffel Tower was completed in time for the World's Fair. Are you ready for an Eiffel Tower fact? I know, this video's been full of facts, but we're going to share one that's really, 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 really interesting. Did you know every 7 years the Eiffel Tower has to be repainted? Yeah, literally, they have to paint the Eiffel Tower every 7 years. And here's a real picture of a guy in the 1950s painting the Eiffel Tower by hand. Can you believe it? Look how high up this guy is. He doesn't even look scared. He's just like, la da 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 da. I'm really high up, and I'm painting the Eiffel Tower. This is what I do. This is what I do. And he seems to be pretty happy up there. I mean, it's amazing. Has to be painted every 7 years. Now, what color do you think they paint the Eiffel Tower? Here's a picture of the Eiffel Tower. What color do you think they paint it? That's a good question. The Eiffel Tower is actually painted brown, and there are 3 shades of brown they use, with the darkest shade of brown on the bottom and the lightest on the top. The Eiffel Tower is painted brown. So there you have it, the Eiffel Tower, an amazing brown iron structure that was built for the 1889 World's Fair and is one of the most famous symbols of France, bringing in millions of visitors every year who want to see this incredible structure. Wow, that was fun. I think it's time now to go to another part of the world, in Asia, and learn about the Great Wall of China next. The Great Wall of China. This is going to be pretty awesome. The Great Wall of China is the longest wall in the world. How cool, how fun, how interesting is that? There's not a single wall that's longer than the Great Wall. The Great Wall is the longest wall in the world. And it's the biggest ancient structure ever built. You might be wondering, how big, how long is this thing, okay? The Great Wall of China is over 13,000 miles long. Wow, think of it. A wall that's 13,000 miles long. Now, as the name implies, because it's called the Great Wall of China, the Great Wall of China is in China. And this is the flag, the Chinese flag. And you see it's a red flag, and it's got 5 gold stars, 1 big gold star, and 4 smaller gold stars. This is the flag of the country of China. Now, if you remember, China is in the continent of Asia, right about here, okay? Right about here, if you remember your continents. China is in the continent of Asia, okay? Now, you might be wondering, where in China is this Great Wall? Okay, where is it? Well, we're about to share that with you. Millions and millions of people visit it each and every year because it's such a special place, and you're about to find out where, so that if you ever in China, you could say, hey, I know where to go to the wall. I want to see the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is in the northern part of China. On this map, it looks like the entire wall is continuous. The whole thing is connected, but it's not. There are places where there are very high mountains or rivers that form a natural barrier, and so the wall doesn't go over those places, but from a distance, it looks like the wall is one great big wall. Now, this is insane! The Great Wall of China is over 2,300 years old! Now, that doesn't mean every part of the wall is that old, but that's when they started building the Great Wall of China and connecting some of the regional walls that were already there. Alright, before we continue, we want to ask you this question. This question to see if you remember. How many miles long is the Great Wall of China? Do you remember? We mentioned it earlier in the video. How many miles long is the Great Wall of China? Yeah, over 13,000 miles. Oh my goodness! Over 13,000 miles. Wow. 13,000. Alright, let's get back. Here we go. The Great Wall of China, as we said, is over 2,300 years old. To be honest, the history of the Great Wall of China goes back even further than that. From the 8th to the 5th centuries BC, China went through the Warring States period. Whoa! It was called the Warring States period because China was not one country, but instead was made up of multiple states that were fighting all the time. They would fight, they would fight, they would fight. They didn't work together. During this time, leaders built small defensive walls in the north, in the northern part of China, which, remember, is where the Great Wall of China is today. But then this man came along. His name was Qin Shi Huang, and he was the first emperor of China. He brought China together. He unified China. Can you say that with me? Qin Shi Huang. Oh, come on. You can do better than that, right? Qin Shi Huang. Yeah, that's pretty good. Qin Shi Huang united China and began connecting many of the northern walls to protect China against northern invaders. And that was 2,300 years ago, 2,300 years ago, the start of the Great Wall of China. Now, this map shows the Great Wall of China today. Back then, it was not that long, and also it was made mostly of wood and stone. And when you visit today, you'll see the Great Wall of China is mostly made of brick. Now, most of the wall you see today was built during the Ming Dynasty. The Great Wall of China has been built by millions of people over these 2,300 years. Wow, oh my goodness. The Great Wall of China still fascinates and amazes people every single year that want to visit and just say, wow, how did they build something this magnificent, this huge, with such rich history? It's so cool. And if you ever visit someday, you could say, listen, I know a little bit about this place because I watched the Homeschool Pop video on it.
That was a strange laugh. Okay, next we're going to learn about a very special bridge. It's called the Golden Gate Bridge. That's right, the Golden Gate Bridge.
The Golden Gate Bridge is a massive suspension bridge that is almost a mile long. It's an impressive bridge. In 1994, the Golden Gate Bridge was declared one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, and today it is still one of the most famous structures in the world. The Golden Gate Bridge is on the west coast of the United States of America in the state of California. And here's an arrow that shows where the Golden Gate Bridge is in California. It's right at the edge of California by the Pacific Ocean. A strait called Golden Gate separates San Francisco from Marin County. A strait is a narrow waterway. The Golden Gate Strait is only about a mile wide. The Golden Gate Bridge was built to connect San Francisco to Marin County because the Golden Gate Strait was causing a lot of issues with traveling. Well, construction began in 1933. Some people worried it would cost too much. Other people worried it wouldn't be safe. Safety was important, really important. They made sure all the workers were safe. Workers had to wear hard hats, and there were safety nets in case someone fell. And that did happen. It saved the lives of 19 people because they knew safety was important. Just like today, safety is important. In 1937, it was completed. It only took 4 years to build, and by the time it was completed, it was the longest bridge and the tallest bridge, making it the biggest bridge in the world. San Francisco is a very busy city. The Golden Gate Bridge was built so people could more easily get in and out of the city. And this is so fascinating. Over 100,000 cars cross every day. Over 100,000 cars drive on the Golden Gate Bridge every single day. Now here's an interesting question we have for you about this bridge. What color is the Golden Gate Bridge? It's an interesting question. Did you know this is something a lot of adults don't know? A lot of grown-ups don't know what color it really is. There's a specific color. Do you know what it is? The Golden Gate Bridge is international orange. That's the color of the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's interesting, there are so many people that don't know that. So just for a second, why don't we stop and think just for a second? We're just going to put it in our memory bank. And if anyone ever asks you what color the Golden Gate Bridge is, you'll say international orange. Can you say that? International orange. So what color is the bridge? International orange. Wow, I think you got it. I think you got it.
Wonderful job. I can't believe this. We've come to the last place we're learning about in this video. Oh my goodness. The final place we're going to learn about is this place right here, the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, the Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty is a massive statue in New York City. It is on Liberty Island in what is called New York Harbor. Now, they called it Liberty Island after the Statue of Liberty got there, because the Statue of Liberty is the coolest thing about Liberty Island. It's actually a very, very small island in New York Harbor. Okay, so you might look at pictures and wonder, oh my goodness, how big is it? How big is this thing? Well, the statue itself is over 151 feet tall. This is a massive statue. Oh, huge. Now, you may not know this. The word liberty means freedom. The Statue of Liberty is a statue that celebrates the freedoms we all share. Now, there are symbols of freedom all throughout this statue. The torch itself that she carries represents freedom. And in the statue, she is stepping over broken chains. The Statue of Liberty is a statue of freedom. Hey, did you know the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France? How cool is that? The country of France gave us the Statue of Liberty. Pretty huge gift, a really generous gift. It cost them a lot of money to make. As you might have guessed, the statue was built in France, and Auguste Bartholdi sculpted the statue. This dude was like an amazing sculptor, right? Didn't he do a good job? And they did it out in the open because they wanted the people of France to get excited about paying for this statue, because it costs a lot of money to make. It's made out of copper, and it's a whole lot of copper. And so they built this thing in France. It was completed in 1886, which was actually 10 years after when they wanted to finish it. They wanted to finish it by 1876, the 100-year anniversary of when the United States became a country. I mean, wow. Even though it took longer to complete than they thought, what an incredible accomplishment. Just look at this statue made in the 1800s. Such an amazing gift from France. Wow. Who is this guy? Hey, get out of here. What do you think this is? I'm not gonna just show up here.
My goodness. Oh boy. Okay. I'm sorry. That wasn't nice. How about this? We've got, this Statue of Liberty video. Why don't you help us out the last little bit? Okay? Okay, good. Well, the last thing we want to share with you is why the statue is green. Why is the Statue of Liberty green? Well, remember, the Statue of Liberty is made of copper. When copper is exposed to air and water, it can have a protective green coating called copper oxide. It's almost like it's a coat, it's a jacket to protect the copper called copper oxide. Here's what the Statue of Liberty's face used to look like, and that was the color of the entire statue. And then it looked like this. The Statue of Liberty is now covered in copper oxide. It took 30 years for the Statue of Liberty to turn completely green. Do you want to try something fun? You can take a penny. A penny is also made out of copper, and you can do the same thing to the penny that happened to the Statue of Liberty. You can leave it outside, and over time, that penny, as it's exposed to the air and to the water from the rain, it will be covered in copper oxide over time. That green protective coating, and you can see that happen for yourself. You can check back with that penny over time, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, you're turning green just like the Statue of Liberty. Abraham Lincoln can turn green too. Wow, the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of freedom in New York Harbor in New York City. A gift from France, a reminder of the freedoms we all share. For many people who came to the United States of America in search of a better life, the Statue of Liberty was the first thing that they would see. A statue of freedom for you and me. Wow, that rhymed pretty good. Wow, you did it. You made it to the end of our adventure, learning about lots of different places around the world. You did a tremendous job learning. Congratulations. You really know your stuff. If you had a fun time and haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. I have a ton of learning videos like this one. I want to give a special thank you to my patrons for making videos like this possible. Your support means the world to me. And thank you for watching and learning with me. You are so awesome. And you know what? I'll see you next video.